The War Council of the Zakthron hegemony had never lost a battle in 3,000 years. Their computational arrays could predict enemy movements 17 steps ahead, factoring in supply lines, morale degradation, and even the psychological profiles of opposing commanders. When humanity stumbled onto the galactic stage with their primitive fusion drives and kinetic weapons, the Zakthron saw them as little more than an administrative footnote, a minor species to be absorbed within a single campaign cycle. High Strategist Vethkor stood before the holographic display, his crystalline fingers tracing probability streams that glowed amber in the dimmed chamber. Around him, the Council of 19 observed in silence, their multifaceted eyes reflecting the cascading data. The human fleet will retreat to the Kepler 442 system, Vethkor announced with absolute certainty. Their Admiral Chen follows predictable patterns: defensive posturing, resource consolidation, calculated risk avoidance. We will have a 94.7% chance of total encirclement within 43 hours. The prediction algorithm had spoken. It always did. And it had never been wrong. Across the void, aboard the battered Earth carrier Indomitable, Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command chair, surrounded by exhausted officers. Red emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across faces that hadn't seen proper sleep in weeks. They'd lost the Battle of Proxima. They'd lost New Bangalore Colony. They'd lost half the fleet. "They're hurting us," Chen said quietly, studying the tactical display. "Every engagement, they know exactly where we'll go. It's like they're reading our playbook." Her tactical officer, Commander Okoye, nodded grimly. "The Zakthrons have quantum prediction matrices, ma'am. They process millions of tactical scenarios simultaneously. Against that level of computation, conventional strategy is suicide," Chen finished. She leaned back, closing her eyes. Every military academy lesson, every historical battle study, every logical tactical doctrine, all of it was useless against an enemy that could predict the outcome before the first shot was fired. Then something her daughter had said during their last vid call surfaced in her memory. Little Emma, barely 8 years old, had been losing at chess against her father. Frustrated, she'd simply swept the pieces off the board and declared, "New game, new rules." Chen's eyes snapped open. "Okoye," she said slowly, "what if we stopped playing their game?" 41 hours later, Vethkor's certainty began to crumble. "Impossible," he whispered, watching the probability streams fracture into chaos. The human fleet wasn't retreating to Kepler 442. They weren't retreating at all. Instead, they were accelerating directly toward the Zakthron home fleet, outnumbered 3-1, outgunned by every metric. Perhaps a computational error? One of the council suggested. "There is no error," Vethkor hissed. "They're committing suicide. This makes no tactical sense. No species would." The human fleet hit the Zakthron formation like a hammer. But they didn't engage. At the last possible moment, every human ship fired its engines at maximum burn, vectoring perpendicular to their approach. The Zakthrons, positioned for an encirclement of a retreating enemy, found themselves facing empty space as the human fleet screamed past at impossible velocities, pushing their crews to the edge of G-force tolerance. "They're destroying their own structural integrity," a junior strategist reported. "Hull stress is beyond safety margins. Several ships are literally tearing apart." Chen felt her ribs creak as the Indomitable pulled 8 Gs. Blood vessels burst in her eyes. Alarms shrieked across every station. 2 frigates disintegrated under the stress, their crews dying instantly. But the remaining ships survived, and now they were behind the Zakthron fleet. Vethkor's prediction matrices went completely dark. This scenario had a 0.003% probability. No rational commander would sacrifice ships and crew to gain a marginal positional advantage. The damage the humans had inflicted on themselves was greater than anything the Zakthrons would have caused in a conventional engagement. It was illogical. It was insane. It was working. "All ships," Chen gasped through blood-flecked lips. "Target their prediction vessels. Fire everything." The Zakthron computational ships, positioned safely in the center of what should have been an overwhelming formation, suddenly found themselves in the direct line of fire. They were massive, ungainly vessels, all processing power, minimal armor. They'd never needed defenses before. Railgun slugs tore through crystalline hulls. Missile salvos overwhelmed point defenses. In 17 seconds, humanity destroyed 3,000 years of tactical superiority. Without their prediction matrices, The Zakthron fleet fought like any other military force, competent, disciplined, but no longer omniscient. And in a fair fight, desperation beat calculation every single time. When the Indomitable limped back to Earth 6 weeks later, Chen was hailed as a genius. Military theorists wrote papers on her chaos doctrine. Tactical academies studied the Battle of Arcturus as a masterpiece of unconventional warfare. But Chen knew the truth. She hadn't been brilliant. She'd been desperate enough to throw away the rulebook and do something no sane commander would attempt. Something no logical species would predict. Years later, when the Galactic Council finally admitted humanity as an equal member, the Zakthron ambassador asked Chen privately, "How did you know our matrices couldn't predict irrationality?" Chen smiled. "We didn't. We just knew that when the game is rigged, the only winning move is to flip the table." The ambassador's crystalline features shifted in what might have been respect or fear. "Your species," he said carefully, "is deeply concerning." "Good," Chen replied. "Because we're just getting started.